মোরে এই ব্রজে বসে হরি নাম কর গান।
এই ব্রজে বসে হরি নাম কর গান।
গুরুদেবে বড় কৃপা করে গৌড়বন মাঝে গোদ্রুমে দিয়াছ স্থান। কিন্তু কবে প্রভু যোগ্যতায় অর্পিবে এ দাসের দয়া করে। আমার চিত্ত স্থির হবে সকল সহিব গুরুদেব গুরুদেব হে গুরুদেব। চিত্ত স্থির হবে সকল সহিব একান্তে ভজিব হরি। গুরুদেব বড় কৃপা করে গৌড়বন মাঝে গোদ্রুমে দিয়াছ তা বড় কৃপা। শৈশব যৌবনে জড় সুখ সঙ্গে অভ্যাস হইলা মন্দ। শৈশব যৌবনে জড় সুখ সঙ্গে অভ্যাস হইলা অভ্যাস হইলা মন্দ। নিজ কর্ম দোষে এ দেহ হইল গুরুদেব গুরুদেব হে গুরুদেব। নিজ কর্ম দোষে এ দেহ হইল ভজনের প্রতিবন্ধ অভ্যাস হইলা মন্দ। গুরুদেব বড় কৃপা করে গৌড়বন মাঝে গোদ্রুমে দিয়াছ বার্ধক্যে এখন পঞ্চরোগে হাত কে মনে ভজিব বল। বার্ধক্যে এখন পঞ্চরোগে হাত কে মনে ভজিব বল। বার্ধক্যে কান্দিয়া কান্দিয়া তোমার চরণে গুরুদেব हे गुरुदेव गुरुदेव कांदिया कांदिया তোমার চরণে আমি কান্দিয়া কান্দিয়া তোমার চরণে পড়িয়াছু সুবিহল গুরুদেব বড় কৃপা করি গৌরবন মাঝে গোদ্রুমে দিয়াছ তা आज्ञा दिला मोरे यही ब्रजे बसे आज्ञा दिला मोरे यही ब्रजे बसे हरे नाम करो गाना गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन माझे गोद्रु में दियाच स्थान बड़ कृपा जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्रीला गुरु महाराज हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गौरांग बोलिते हमें पुलक
Welcome everybody, very much. Thank you all for coming. This is a program we're doing for the 50th year anniversary of Srimad Gour Govinda Maharaja's taking sannyas here in Vrindavan. And this is how the program is going to go. We're going to offer some lamp to Srila Prabhupada, and then we're going to offer 50 lamps to our Guru Maharaj on occasion of 50 years, and then we'll have some different talks from devotees. So if you'd like to say something, you can go ahead and contact me or one of the devotees here. Hare Krishna. The lamps. Yeah, I said.
जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद महाराज की परमहंस शिरोमणि श्रील प्रभुपाद महाराज की जय भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी जय प्रभुपाद जय श्रील प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद हरि हरि बोल जय कौन कौन गाइबा संसार दवा এইবার করুণা কর ডাকি দিও
हरे कृष्ण हरि बोल अनुपम प्रभु please come and offer a lamp to Srila Gurudev and other devotees who are present, so please come offer a lamp to Srila Gurudev. Satotpati Prabhu, please come. Anuradha Mataji, our senior god sister. Krishna Kunda Mataji.
এবার করুণা কর বৈষ্ণব গোসাই
कर वैष्णव गोसाई
पतित पावन তোমার বিনে কেহ নাই
पवन तुम्हार बिन के होना
पतित पावन তোমার বিনে কেহ নাই
तो पवन तुम्हार बिन के होना
যাহারনে কটে গেলে পাপ দূরে যায়
जो मैंने अच्छा जन जन करी आसिकी दीपदान करंतु हरि बोल प्रभु
ए मन दयाल
प्लीज कम
प्रभु देवा कथा
we have to offer 50 number of lamps devotees present will be within 50 so everyone can get chance
গঙ্গার পরশ হইলে পশ্চাতে পাব
परस होले पश्चाते पावा
দর্শনে পবিত্র কর এই তোমার গুণ দর্শনে
पवित्र करो এই তোমার গুণ
হরিস্থানে অপরাধে তারে হরি না
তারে অপরাধে তারে হরি না
হরিস্থানে অপরাধে তারে হরি না
তারে অপরাধে তারে হরি না
তোমার স্থানে অপরাধে নাহি পরিত্রাণ।
তানে অপরাধে নাই পরিত্রাণ।
তোমার স্থানে অপরাধে নাহি পরিত্রাণ।
তানে অপরাধে নাই পরিত্রাণ।
তোমার হৃদয়ে সদা গোবিন্দ বিশ্রাম।
হৃদয়ে সদা গোবিন্দ বিশ্রাম।
তোমার হৃদয়ে রাধা গোপাল বিশ্রাম। হৃদয়ে রাধা গোপাল বিশ্রাম। গোবিন্দ কহে ন মম বৈষ্ণব পরাণ।
কহে নম বৈষ্ণব পরাণ।
গোবিন্দ কহে ন মম বৈষ্ণব পরাণ।
কহে নম বৈষ্ণব পরাণ।
প্রতি জন্মে করি আশা চরণের ধূলি।
জন্ম করি আশা চরণের ধূলি।
জন্মে জন্মে করে আশা চরণের ধূলি।
জন্ম করি আশা চরণের ধূলি।
ঠাকুর নরোত্তমে কর দয়া আপনার বলে।
তুমি কর দয়া আপনার বলি।
এ অধমে কর দয়া আপনার বলে।
তুমি কর দয়া আপনার বলি।
এইবার করুণা কর বৈষ্ণব গোসা। করুণা কর পতিত পাবন তোমার বিনে কেহ নাই।
তোমার বিনে কেহ নাই।
হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে।
কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে।
হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে।
কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে।
হরে কৃষ্ণ Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Srila Gurudev
Hare Rama Rama Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Rama Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Rama Rama Rama
Jaya Patita Pavan Gurudeva Vaishnava Thakur Gurudeva He Acharya Thakur Gurudeva Jai 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 Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Haribol 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 Gaur Haribol Haribol Srila Guru Maharaj ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki
Haribol Madhavan Prabhu. We will request Madhavananda Prabhu to preside this program. So I will request him. Haribol.
ये साउंड का लग रहा है कौन
Sound
सीट चाबी अच्छी नाम दे कुछ तेरे गोला अच्छा है
Guruharam Gauranga Guratama Gopyata Kalpa Briksham Gopala Gadha Ratidam Yati Singha Gour Govinda Deshikavaram Satatam Namahami. To the brilliant flower garland around the neck of the League of Prominent Associates of Lord Goura, to the desire tree fulfilling the topmost secrets of Lord Gauranga, to the giver of condensed love of Gopal, to the lion-like sannyasi, Gour Govinda Swami, the eminent spiritual teacher, I constantly offer my obeisances. This is Indian technology. Namaste Avaya Priya, Gaura Bhava Prakashane, Nityananda Kripa Sindhu Gopala Saiva Darshane. Hey Avaya Priya, dear disciple of Srila Prabhupada, reveal the inner mood of Sriman Mahaprabhu, the ocean of Sri Nityananda's mercy, who Sri Shri Gopal everywhere. Please accept my repeated pranams at your lotus feet. So we want to thank everybody again for coming today. It's a very special program. We want to contemplate something about the Vairagya Adbhuta. This is a phrase which is used by Lochandas Thakur in his Chaitanya Mangal to speak about the sannyasa Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says that Rahasya Katha, I want to speak many confidential things, such as this Vairagya Adbhuta, this astonishing renunciation. Because generally when we speak about renunciation, it's an astonishing thing. In America, there's a bumper sticker I saw once that said, they summed up the philosophy of many people there: whoever dies with the most toys wins. So most people can't even understand or consider renunciation at all. And then there's what we call karma sannyas. And karma sannyas is according to Vanashram Dharma, according to karma Vanashram, mundane Vanashram Dharma, and someone does that when they're 50 years old. That's a recommended thing. But in our Gaudiya Vaishnav line, there's a different kind of understanding about sannyas. I'd like to share with you read a little something from our Guru Maharaj, from the book that we wrote, When Good Fortune Arises, about his mood in taking sannyas and the things that led up to that. And then we want to ask Ishwar Prabhu and Anupam Prabhu and different devotees if they'd like to share a few words. Nagapatni Mataji's very kindly here. And Narendra Prabhu, I don't know you, I'm sorry, but I've seen you many times. So if you'd like, I can read a little something. Throughout his life, Gour Govinda Maharaj wrote daily entries in his diary. For the most part, these were in the form of letters to Gopal. Each entry would begin, Prabhu Gopal Kriparu Konashi Matri Dhanati Koti Gola. By the mercy of Prabhu Gopal, this day was spent thus. The entries would end with a prayer to Gopal. Please give me prema bhakti, ecstatic love for God. A sample from 1st of October 1973. This is just before he left home, and it's beginning we can understand something about his inner consciousness. On account of the Durga Puja festival, school will be closed for some time. It will be reopened on Thursday, 18th October 1973. Today I saw a picture of Sri Chaitanya in Banambara's shop. In that picture, I saw Mahaprabhu clutching the feet of the Prema Moya Yugala Murti, the divine loving couple. Sri Chaitanya Dev started chanting Dibya Prem Nam, Krishna's divine ecstatic names. He rejected Suska Gyan, dry knowledge. He preached Dibya Nam Prem. He gave Nam Prem to all indiscriminately. Prema Taranga, the waves of Prema spread everywhere. Wherever he was going, Prema was following. Even the very hard-hearted got a touch of that Prem, and their hearts were changed. This is a wonderful power of Prem. By seeing that picture of Sri Chaitanya Dev, I got a sparsha, a touch of that Prem. How can I get a picture of that Sri Chaitanya Dev? By seeing his picture, I'll get a touch of prem, and from prem, I'll get wonderful inspiration and bliss. Then I can give bliss to others. Prabhu Gopal, please shower this mercy on me. Please give me shelter at the Prem Kutir, the Sri Premananda Ji. I must drown in that Dibya Prem, and giving Prem to others, put out the fire in their hearts. From the 19th of October, 1973, he wrote, by the mercy of Prabhu Gopal, on the last 2 days, our Gita recitation program was finished here in my Ishadev's Gopal's temple. Prabhu Sri Gopal, or you who are known as Premananda, as Premamoya Purush, as Vrindavan Bihari, and as Radhakant, by your mercy, this Gita program was finished with Ananda and Prem. Prabhu, may your place be joyful. May Prem and Ananda, love and bliss be distributed. Make me your servitor. Give me an opportunity to distribute that Prem and Ananda. Don't cheat me. Because you're Antaryami Nath, the Lord of my heart, you know my desire, and I'm begging that from you. Please give me that Prem and Ananda. Let me get it, and let me distribute it. The 1973 entries frequently mention Braj Bandhu, that was his name from birth, the friend of the Brijbasis, frequently mentioned Braj Bandhu's desire to renounce family life. From the 10th of October, he wrote, quote, today there was a Mahotsav, a great festival. Prasadam was distributed, and Bala Gopal Leela, your childhood pastimes, were recited. Prabhu Gopal, for a long time I've had a desire to hear songs of Man Bhanjana Leela, stories of how Krishna breaks the sulkiness of Srimati Radharani. Premamoyi Radharani had developed Abhiman, loving pride, and Krishna was experiencing intense viraha katara, pangs of separation, because Radha would not permit him to see her. Therefore, there was a need for Man Bhanjana. Today, by the mercy of Prabhu, it happened. Vrindavan Bihari Krishna became Radha Prem Bhikari, a beggar of Radha's love. My Gopal dressed up like a sannyasi to beg Prem Dana from Radharani. O Prabhu Gopal, please make me a yogi, a sannyasi like that. This is Hare Krishna Banavatabu. Someone should give Prabhu a mala? Some mala for... Do you want to sit in a chair, Banavata Prabhu? We're reading, this is something we're reading from Gour Govinda Maharaja's biography. And right now it's specifically from his diaries. O Prabhu Gopal, please make me a yogi, a sannyasi like that. I don't need anything. Prabhu, I'm not asking you for material opulence, respect, glory, or anything else. You may give those things to my younger brother, Kripa Sindhu. Let him maintain your family. Make me a samsar vairagi yogi, a renunciate, a family life. Let me beg that prema dana, that wealth of love of Godhead. Let me distribute prema and ananda. Let me serve you. Please shower this mercy upon me. Prabhu, please bless me with prem bhakti, ecstatic love for you. I think what I'd like to do with the devotees' blessings is read a little something every so often. But at this point, I'd like to request Nagapatni, would you like to start? Okay, Nagapatni Mataji. There's a little secret. She's like our mother. We have to be nice to her. She beats me. Nagapatni Mataji is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada who served for many, many years in Laguna Beach, and she also travels all over the world. She's been going to Russia and Ukraine for many years, which is where we met her, and she loves to speak about Srila Prabhupada. So thank you very much for coming and for putting up with my bad jokes.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, let's see here.
I deeply believe Krishna sent to help Srila Prabhupada in holding his movement together. Unfortunately, our movement did go through some dark years, some difficult times after Srila Prabhupada left. Some senior leaders, a lot of senior leaders, made some poor decisions, and it caused the movement to explode, basically, and devotees went running in all different directions. I was one such devotee who didn't want to get involved in politics and arguing and this and that. And we tried to find little groups of sadhus association, but it was challenging because we were all such young devotees. I had only been in the movement for 9 years at that time. And the longest anyone was in the movement when Srila Prabhupada left was 11 years. So basically we were like children spiritually. And so we were bereft. But Srila Gour Govinda, he started from his very beginning of his life in practicing serious Vaishnava philosophy. And he even was so surrendered and so dedicated that he came at an old age, an elder age. How old was he? 45? When he joined the Krishna conscious movement. And mind you, most of us at that time were just barely 20. So he was more than an older brother. He was like an uncle. And he probably wasn't appreciated or respected very, very sufficiently. But his dedication and his what he contributed with the translating was just immense. But the thing that really touched me about His Holiness is that was years after this explosion, he was traveling around the world preaching primarily to Prabhupada disciples. What are you doing? Why are you not serving your Guru Maharaj? You must serve your Guru Maharaj. And I heard from somebody gave me, remember those old cassette tapes? Someone gave me a cassette tape. I don't even remember who it was. And they said, you've got to listen to this. And I did. And it literally turned me around completely, because I was definitely going in the wrong direction. So I very much appreciate how he's helped me in my spiritual life and helped me turn my life around to serve Srila Prabhupada. And then years later, I was fortunate to meet so many of his disciples, and you all are very, very special personalities. So, all glories to Gour Govinda Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
And he spoke in some of his lectures also in America how hurt he felt when he first went to America in particular, seeing the condition of the devotees there and how so many devotees had lost faith. And I can't imagine, Bhanabhati Prabhu was here too, this may say something I don't know. I joined in 82, and many years after you, 10 years, 15 years after you, I think. And we saw the condition at that time. So many devotees had lost faith. And it was very, very painful to him. And he told us that I want to go and I want to give them faith. I want to inspire them. I want to show them that everything is in Prabhupada's movement. He once told me personally in New York City in 1993, he said, there's three things that very much concern me. The first thing is that I want to preach to the preachers. He said, it causes me great pain in my heart to see the preachers falling down and going away. And the second thing is I want to show that everything is in Srila Prabhupada's books. And the devotees who say that Prabhupada only gave ABC, I want to make them mum. And the third thing is I want to show that there's everything in ISKCON. And the devotees who think they have to go outside for some so-called higher teachings, everything is here. So it was something very, very concerning to his heart. Srila Prabhupada gave our Guru Maharaj several instructions. One was that he should translate his books into Odia language, which he was very strict about. The second was that he should do ratha-yatra and preach in Orissa, which he was also very strict about. And the third instruction, which was a little unusual, he told him he wanted him to preach to the devotees. And so to take that up, beginning in 1985, he started traveling different places around the world. So we'd like to ask Bhanabhatta Prabhu if he can come up and say something. For those of you who don't know, Bhanabhatta Prabhu is a very special disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He's joined in San Francisco.
Yeah.
In what year?
72.
72. And he saw so many things in the early days of Jayananda Prabhu and Vatsal Prabhu and Charu Prabhu and many of the devotees there. And he's been distributing Srila Prabhupada's books very, very steadily for so many years and serving Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for coming, Prabhu. Would you like to come and just say anything you'd like?
Tamjina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, but my eternal spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, has forced my eyes open with the torch light of knowledge. Therefore, I offer my most humble obeisance under His lotus feet. Avanchikalpadurubhyascha kripasinubhyavicha paritanamani vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. So this is a very special occasion. Actually, anything having anything to do with Gour Govinda Maharaj is a very special occasion because he's such a special devotee. When Madhavananda Prabhu was speaking, and also Nagampadni Mataji, I was reminded about what it was like when Srila Prabhupada left the planet. And, it was, it's inconceivable. We really never imagined. I mean, we knew Prabhu was, his health was bad and then getting worse and things, and he became so emaciated, and it was really evident that, Krishna had other plans for him. But we couldn't imagine a life without Prabhupada being here physically. And it's such an amazing thing. It's like, when he actually physically left, and it's talked about in Shastra, the extreme devastation that all devotees feel. And because we didn't grow up in the Vedic culture in the West, and we had no idea, some of us, myself included, didn't even know if God existed before becoming a devotee. And so, Prabhupada was this person who, when we would come in his association, he would imperceptibly bring us close to his level, and we didn't even realize how much he was supporting, just physically being on the planet. Even there's many devotees who never had personal association with Prabhupada, but they felt his presence so strong because he was able to bring all these diverse personalities together, many of whom, personally speaking, I would want nothing to do with in my life.
That's pretty honest.
We were at so different ends of the spectrum in terms of our particular combination of modes of nature, if you will. And but Prabhupada created this level of cooperation that spread the Krishna movement like that, so fast all over the world. I give tours in Prabhupada's Palace of Gold, and I'm always telling people that this speaks volumes of who Prabhupada is, and someone like him, which is Gour Govinda Maharaj, because sometimes devotees were in the movement like 6 months, still trying to figure out what they're actually doing. And Prabhupada would say, okay, you're going to open a temple in San Francisco, you're going to open a temple in Montreal, you'll open a temple in Chicago, you'll go to London and open a temple. How did the movement spread so fast? It was like Prabhupada expanded himself in so many different forms. So it's amazing. And the other thing I was thinking was so this is so instructive when someone like that leaves the planet physically. And I did write just a few things, if you don't mind. I don't know how much time I have. I don't want to take too much, but I did write a few things just to help celebrate this momentous occasion of Gour Govinda Maharaja taking sannyas. How long do I have? Like 5-6 minutes? Okay. So I'll start with just a few reflections I had this morning, if you don't mind. When I was chanting japa, and I was realizing that this process of Krishna consciousness is a continuous, non-stop, ever-increasing process that is based primarily on one thing, which is desire. And every moment we're being given the choice of whether to continue, I'm speaking for myself, right? Being given the choice of whether I want to continue acting as an eternally conditioned soul or to accept my eternal spiritual identity and act according to my eternal spiritual nature. And that's why Prabhupada says you can become Krishna conscious in one moment. That's all it takes. So how do we learn this process? We can't learn it just by studying books and reciting verses and going through the motions of everything we do, our sadhana and everything. And Prabhupada said, before you become Krishna conscious, you have to become conscious. And we learn it more than any other way by associating with pure unalloyed devotees of the Lord, like Srila Prabhupada and one of his dear most intimate disciples, such as Gour Govinda Maharaj. Who is Gour Govinda Maharaj? If we study his history from the time of his birth, we can understand without a doubt that he is certainly not a conditioned soul like myself. And I know most of you are familiar, way more familiar than I am, with their early history, but for my own purification and to better appreciate the character and qualities of Krishna's pure devotee, I wanted to mention a few things. Like our Srila Prabhupada, he was born into a family of pure devotees from his very early childhood, engaged in worshiping the family deity, chanting Hare Krishna, studying the Shastras. By age 8, he had read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and could explain their meanings. At age 11, it is said that he heard Srimad Bhagavatam 6 times, and then started giving discourses which would bring people all over the surrounding villages to come hear him. He avoided the frivolous activities of other children his age, and he would always chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and would never eat anything that was not offered to the family deity. Born in a family of kirtan gurus from the time of Syamananda Prabhu. Do you know what today is? Is it his appearance or disappearance? Appearance day of Syamananda Prabhu. So that's all also very auspicious. Both things are happening on this day. So his descendants, it says from the time of Syamananda Prabhu, he would perform kirtan in Jagannath Temple. Actually, the king, I heard, had asked them to do that. for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath, and then Nagar Kirtan in the surrounding villages. Later on, after renouncing family life, he voluntarily became a mendicant, traveled all over India on foot with a Bhagavad Gita, japa beads, and a begging bowl, looking for his guru. His desire was realized when, after walking on foot to Sri Vrindavan, he finally met Srila Prabhupada, who at that very first meeting ordered him to take sannyas, which Prabhupada gave him along with his first and second initiation within 1 year. I was first introduced to Gour Govinda Maharaj in Bhubaneswar in 1975. I was with Guru Kripa's Japan Sankirtan party, and a few of us were traveling with Srila Prabhupada, who was visiting the land, which at that time was really just a jungle. Prabhupada was staying, there was a little mud hut there, and there was a tent, as I recall, that Prabhupada was staying in. And Maharaj, of course, was donating that land to ISKCON, which, as all of you know, became an incredible temple and community. At this time, Gour Govinda Maharaj was just a humble brahmachari, and he was kind of like fire covered by smoke. And really no one except Prabhupada could detect his advanced spiritual potency. And so I observed even several Western devotees who were kind of looking down at him, you know, had these attitudes, they thought he was like, who is this dirty brahmachari? And that was due actually to a spiritual quality of intense, excessive humility called dainya. And one in that condition is so much conscious of Krishna's presence that he's feeling very low and downtrodden. Of course, this was not surprising, since we were just young, inexperienced Western boys, having only been in the movement a few years. However, that was very instructive to me, especially as I grew older and matured in my Krishna consciousness. And to this day, I consider it one of the biggest mistakes of my life, that I wasn't able at that time, or at least until he passed away, I wasn't able to get any close personal association with His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaj, who by his symptoms, really anyone could understand that he was far, far advanced. But because a pure devotee of the highest caliber like that is not under the influence of Krishna's material energy, being completely under the shelter of Krishna's internal potency, he appears differently. And those of us who are still contaminated by ego, conditioned by passion, ignorance, we're looking at things through our colored vision. And so it's easy for us to think the opposite of something, which in a case like this is actually very dangerous. It's called the mad elephant offense, and it's very dangerous to commit an offense against a devotee like this. And that's what I observed in the person of Gour Govinda Maharaj, especially after Prabhupada left the planet, and Nayapalli Maharaj very nicely, and Prabhu mentioned how it was one of his desires to really preach to the preachers and help the devotees after the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada. And it was a really tragedy that after the disappearance of Prabhupada, here was someone who, by his spiritual potency and by his realizations, and had the potency to really unite again the whole Prabhupada's whole movement after his disappearance became severely restricted in his preaching, and remained for most of us like a fire covered by smoke. So in conclusion, I just like to recite a famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, where Lord Krishna states that Acharyam Acharyamam vijaniyam navamanyeta chit namartya vidya suyeta sarvade vamayo guru. Krishna says one should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. And I'll just conclude with a short part of the purport where Prabhupada nicely explains that only out of his immense compassion does the personality of Godhead reveal himself as the spiritual master. Therefore, in the dealings of an acharya, there are no activities but those of transcendental loving service to the Lord. He is the Supreme Personality of Servitor, Godhead. It is worthwhile to take shelter of such a steady devotee who is called Ashraya Vigraha, or the manifestation or form of the Lord, of whom one must take shelter. Jai Srila Gour Govinda Maharaja ki jai.
Including some photos taken here in Vrindavan. These are still shots from a video the day that he took sannyas. But I wanted to point out one in particular. You must know Bhagavat Maharaj? Yeah. Yeah, he was there. Where's it at? I just had it. Thank you. 44. This is Bhagavat Maharaj, and this is in Bhubaneswar, a little after you'd left. You were here before this, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And please take this magazine with you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Pranabhata Guru Ki. So I'd like to ask Daivi Shakti Mataji if she can come and say something. And after Daivi Shakti, Narendra Prabhu, would you like to say anything? Yes? No? Okay. Daivi Shakti's just here for a few minutes. She always tells me, she says, I don't have any association, I only know one story, but her one story is so powerful and wonderful. We're so happy. Those of you who don't know, Daivi Shakti's like, she's the treasure of the Krishna Balaram Mandir. She's been here, I think, longer than any other devotee. I think you have to correct me. I think you told me once that she's seen, I don't know, 30 different temple presidents or something over the years, 37 or something like that. Yeah, and you should get her book also. She's written a number of wonderful books. Thank you so much for coming today. She was really wiped out. She worked so hard for the 50th anniversary of the temple. We're very glad you came. Thank you. I'll give you a magazine too. And this has a picture of Muksha Lakshmi.
Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Butle Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Arigaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we'll go back to 1974 when the temple here was under construction. Very few devotees were here, and one day a very young, nice, gentle-looking sadhu walks into the gate of the temple, which was also just part of the construction site. And he had come to meet Srila Prabhupada. And very sweet person. We weren't trying to make devotees at that time. We were just trying to get the temple built. But he walked in the gate and he met Srila Prabhupada. And after he had met Srila Prabhupada, I was standing in front of the temple, And he came out of Prabhupada's house, and no one was there except for myself, and he was very jubilant, ecstatic. He was so happy, you could see on his face. And he came over to me to tell me what had just happened, because there was no one else to tell. And he said to me, I just met Prabhupada, and he told me I should go immediately to Orissa and begin preaching there and start to translate his books there. And I'm leaving immediately. He didn't waste any time. So I was very happy for him. I have a great affection, and because in the early days of ISKCON we only had Lord Jagannath to worship. So when I joined the temple, I joined, and we were worshiping Lord Jagannath. So I was so happy that he was given that order by Srila Prabhupada. And I said, wait, before you go, let me give you something. And I ran to where I was staying, and I gave him a little bottle of Radhakund water. I thought at least he could take that with him as a little memory of Vrindavan. So I never saw your Guru Maharaj after that. When he came here in 1975, a year later, I was busy with the cooking. I never met him, but we've heard from Bhima Prabhu about his humble nature, how when all the devotees came from Hyderabad, he just sat on his trunk by the bathroom, didn't mingle with anyone. In fact, Bhima even wondered if he was part of the yatra. And then when, though there was a moratorium on taking of sannyas, the devotees asked if Tripurari could take sannyas, and Prabhupada agreed, because on this day there was going to be a Maha Yagya. Prabhupada was going to accept many first and second disciples, initiated disciples. So Prabhupada agreed that Tripurari could take sannyas, and then he decided that also your Guru Maharaj should take sannyas on that day. So I never saw him, I never got to speak to him after that, but many years later, when we all heard of his successes of preaching, all of the obstacles that he had to overcome in order to get the land, in order to secure building the temple, the construction, making devotees, and then finally his writing of books. And I want to thank Madhavananda and the other devotees who helped with that to prolificate your Guru Maharaj's exceptional teachings that we would have never had access to had his disciples not taken the effort to print the books, to print the beautiful, what is the name of your magazine?
Sri Krishna Katamrita.
Sri Krishna Katamrita, both in the written and also in the, Krishna Katamrita Bindu, right? Wonderful, wonderful expose of pure Vaishnavism that we would never have had access to. And I had the good fortune last year of visiting. In 1975, I was able to get the darshan of Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri. He allowed me in for darshan. And then just last year, there was 75, 2024, almost 50 years later, I was able to visit again. And I was welcomed by the devotees in Bhubaneswar, and I was so impressed by the beautiful temple. I have a big picture of that. What is the temple president's name there? That's him, right? He gave me this beautiful picture that I keep right there, that I worship, and he gave me wonderful gifts. I never felt so welcomed in my whole life as when I was there at the Bhubaneswar temple. They invited me to speak, which I know probably isn't a regular thing to have women speak there, but they were just such ideal Vaishnavas. I'll always remember that visit, and I want to thank Gour Govinda Maharaja's disciples for imbibing the Vaishnava etiquette, the teachings of their Guru Maharaj, and especially the printing of books from his lectures, because we all have benefited so much from these books. And I pray that in the future you'll be able to print many more books so that we can all be benefited by his pure devotion, by his knowledge, by his culture that otherwise we would have never had access to. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna. Devi Shakti, for those of you who weren't so fortunate to be there this morning, gave an amazing class. She's a fantastic speaker, knows so much Braj Leela, and she's also so dedicated to not just distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, but all kinds of Shastra and different things in connection with Krishna consciousness. Is that Nalini? No. Okay. I thought. And thank you so much for saying a few words today for us. I we just like to invite everybody, please come to ISKCON Bhubaneswar. I can say that with open heart. It's such a wonderful atmosphere there now. The devotees are so sweet. They're working so hard. There's so many amazing preaching programs going on. You might be disappointed to hear that the ISKCON Bhubaneswar temple is the number 2, not number 1, it's the number 2 most popular Vaishnav temple in all of Orissa. Number 1 is the Jagannath temple in Puri. You can't quite compete with that. The devotees there have done a wonderful job. And Devi Shakti, I hope you come again and again too. I'm sure the devotees will ask you to speak every time and will treat you very nicely. So we'd like to encourage everybody to please go there. Narendra Prabhu, would you like to come and say a few words? That's a yes or a no. Please come if you'd like. Better not. Okay. I'd like to ask our godbrother Ishvara Prabhu, who I hope you're not angry with me, because in Mayapur we had so many senior devotees, and Ishvara Prabhu was also a senior devotee. I think you joined in what, 77? Yeah. Didn't get a chance to speak that day, so this is my prayaschitta today. We're asking you to come and speak something today. And those of you who don't know, Ishvara Prabhu makes so many wonderful books. He just gave me a copy of one of his newest books. This is Vrindavana, a garland of the teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's also working on a series of a number of volumes of Bhaktamala and a number of different amazing books. So thank you very much, Prabhuji, for coming. I'll give you a magazine also. Hare Krishna. Is that good height?
It's okay. Gurave Gurachandraya Radhikata Dalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktayata Bhaktayo Namo Nama Anandalila Maya Vigraya Mabada Vichavi Sundaraya Tasma Mahapremrasa Praya Chitachanaya Namo Nama Vajakapatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhi Vacha Patitana Pavana Vibhi Vaishnavi Namo Nama Jai Srila Gourgovinda Maharaj ki Srila Prabhupada ki. So it's a great honor to be here this afternoon. And of course, as most of you know, I'm not a great speaker, but I will try my best. So today we are celebrating the 50th anniversary, the sannyas anniversary of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. So, talking of sannyas, when Mahaprabhu when he was talking with Chankazi, and Chankazi made a mention, he quoted from the verse from Brahma Purana, which is Ashwalamba Gavalamba, Sannyasi Palapatrikan, Devarina Stotpata Kalopancha Vivaja. There are 5 things which are forbidden in Kali Yuga, which is Ashwamedh Yaga, the horse sacrifice, the offering of praise to the forefathers, begetting the children in the womb of one's brother's wife, and the taking of sannyas. So now we know that yes, this verse is there that the sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga. What kind of sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga? What kind of sannyas? Because if sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga, so many great Vaishnava acharyas, they took sannyas. For example, Adi Shankaracharya, he took sannyas when he was 8 years old. Madhavacharya, he took sannyas when he was 12 years old. Many other personalities, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, they are all sannyasis. And of course, our dear Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas at the age of 24. So, if the sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga according to the Shastra, why all these great personalities who are the Shastraveds, who know the scriptures, why do you all take sannyas? The fact is that the sannyas that is forbidden is karma sannyas, not the Vaishnava sannyas, karma sannyas, according to the regular Varnashram Dharma. But the actual sannyas, which because the meaning of sannyas is to dedicate one's, for one was dedicated the life to one's body, one's mind, and oneself to the Lord. That is encouraged. And as mentioned by the other Acharya, that actually this verse, the forbidden of sannyas, is only mentioned in only one scripture, Brahma Bhavata Purana. It's not in any other Puranas, any other Upanishads, is it? There's no other scripture that is mentioned. It's not in Bhagavad Purana or Vishnu Purana or the Sattvic Purana. It's not mentioned. So only on one occasion in Brahma Bhavata Purana that this is mentioned that the sannyas is forbidden. So therefore, the Vaishnavas taking sannyas is something that is very, very recognized. So Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, he was a Grihastha, and at the age of 45 or so, right, 45, so he decided to leave home. Of course, he was born in Vaishnava, just like many speakers have already spoken. How Maharaj, how he was born in the family of Vaishnava, right from his childhood. They were Kirtaniyas. One of the recognized Kirtaniyas for Jagannath, reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially Chaitanya Charitamrita right from childhood, and also teaching it. So he was a Vaishnava right from his beginning of his childhood. It was the beginning of his life. Like one time, when devotees, when they were talking with Prabhupada, and then they were telling Prabhupada that, oh, Gour Govinda, he's a new devotee. And Prabhupada said, you are the new devotee. Somebody who's been a Vaishnava since he was born. You are the new devotee. That's what Prabhupada said that. So, and one of Prabhupada's famous comments is that Prabhupada said that yes, Krishna sent him. So he was not an ordinary person. So when Gour Govinda Maharaj, he left home, and then because when he was 45, he decided to renounce his household life, and he decided to go in search of his Guru Maharaj. You know, to go in search of his Guru Maharaj. So he was traveling by foot all over India, travel length and breadth of India. He was in the Himalayas and all that. So he ultimately, of course, wherever I go, he could not meet a sadhu. He could not meet a sat guru, a sadhu. He was traveling everywhere. So ultimately, he came to Vrindavan. And of course, when one arrives in Vrindavan, all desirable things is achieved. So when Maharaj arrived in Vrindavan, then he saw a sign, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, founder Acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So then Gour Govinda Maharaj, he said, yes, I must meet this person. I think it was Brahmananda Prabhu who was recounting how Gour Govinda Maharaj, how he finally got to meet Prabhupada. That he was coming, when he was coming, he was being prevented by devotees to because he wanted to go inside meet Prabhupada. He was being prevented by devotees because he was dressed in a kind of like a typical Indian sadhu. The typical Indian sadhu, they are, they're not so, you see them all the time on the street, how the Indian sadhus are dressed. So devotees, they were not really impressed and keen on him, go inside and meet at the Prabhupada. So he was coming around, and then when so somehow he got a chance to go inside Prabhupada's room. So he went inside Prabhupada's room, and then introduced himself to Prabhupada. And then the first question that Prabhupada asked him was, have you taken sannyas? He said, no, I've not taken sannyas. And Prabhupada said, I will give you sannyas. Prabhupada said, I will give you sannyas. So that was the beginning of it. And then, of course, within 1 year, he was a sannyasi. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it's in the book, on the sannyas day itself, which was during the opening of Krishna Balaram Mandir, his name was not even on the list that he was supposed to take sannyas. I think it was Jubliee Maharaj, I think Srila Swami also. Srila Maharaj.
Just Jubliee Maharaj.
Just Jubliee Maharaj? I thought Srila Swami was also there. There was supposed to be. Anyway.
Jubliee Maharaj told me he was only one.
Oh, I see. So his name was not mentioned, but which means it was a secret between him and Prabhupada. Because the devotees, the leadership, they were because of their so-called objection. So it was like a secret between him and Prabhupada. So the sannyas items was there, 2 plates was there. So the devotees were wondering, what is this extra plate? Who is this extra plate for? So during the time itself, and then Gour Govinda Maharaja came and sat down, and of course, and I was giving sannyas. So, of course, I was fortunate to meet him. I was fortunate to meet him later on in the final time of his being this material world, whereby when he speak about what sannyas means, he talk that sannyas is a person who's supposed to develop Krishna prema. Sannyas is meant for Krishna prema. Just like when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, what did he do? Immediately, he was crying for Krishna. Crying for Krishna. He was running to Vrindavan, crying for Krishna all the time. So that was sannyas mode. And that was that mode that Gour Govinda Maharaj will project. Especially this famous word is that I have opened a crying school in Bhubaneswar. If I open a crying school, how you can cry for Krishna? That unless you cry for Krishna, you cannot get him. When I asked in America that I would like to get this association, he said, well, if you want to get my association, you come to Bhubaneswar, because there I've opened a crying school. So I accepted that invitation, and that's how I ended up in India, because of that invitation. So anyway, thank you very much. I'm not a good speaker, so, I'm sure there are many devotees here who can say many wonderful things. So thank you very much. Jai Srila Gour Govinda Maharaja ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gopi Manandi.
In America, 93 and 94, when Guru Maharaj was going on. I just wanted to reflect a little bit on some of the things he was saying that we heard from different devotees. When Guru Maharaj came, actually when he came to Mathura first, on his way to Vrindavan, he wrote this in his diary. He went to the Kesarji Gaudiya Mutt, and he, as Ishwar Prabhu was saying, he looked like an ordinary kind of sadhu. They thought that he was a Mayavadi, and they threw him out. He mentions in his diary, they threw him out of the temple there. And later he came to the Krishna Balaram Mandir here, and as Ishwar Prabhu was saying, he got a BTG magazine, and he told us that there's 3 things that he was looking for in a guru: someone who was teaching the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because these are 3 things that he grew up with his whole life: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srimad Bhagavatam. And someone gave him a Back to Godhead magazine, and he saw all 3 elements in it, so he asked to see Srila Prabhupada, and as Ishwar Prabhu said, these things happen. He was staying here at the Krishna Balaram Mandir Summit that time, and they engaged him in cooking, and he was making some khichdi. And I heard from some of the older devotees who were here that they were asking, who made that khichdi today? That was amazing. It's like the most amazing khichdi I've ever had. And someone said, oh, the Mayavadi. He made it because they thought that he was a Mayavadi. It was going on for some time. It was difficult for him, I think, in ISKCON, because especially that time there weren't so many Indian body devotees. And it was a little bit of I can say there's a little bit of an American mafia, perhaps. Is that right, Nagapatni? It was kind of, and if you were Indian body, they didn't really relate to that so much. Mukunda Datta Prabhu, would you like to say something now? Yeah? Okay. So I want to ask Mukunda Datta Prabhu to come and speak. So Mukunda Datta Prabhu, for those of you who don't know, is also a very long-term serving devotee at Krishna Balaram Mandir. You have to tell us how many years. I think it's 20 plus, or 30 years or something. 34 years. He says 34, you're saying 45 years ago he came here. Some of you weren't even born then. And he's been the head pujari, I think, now for 34 years. 35 years. And not an easy service either. As Daivi Shakti was telling us once, I think she's been through 37 temple presidents here. It's a very difficult place to serve in. Mukunda Datta Prabhu, thank you. You've been so steady. And please come. Say a few words, something.
Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaja ki. So very, very fortunate to be here in Sri Vrindavan Dham, in our ISKCON Goshala, in the Yagyashala. And we are here to observe the 50th anniversary of Gour Govinda Maharaja's taking sannyas. First the devotees were saying he took sannyas on Ram Navami. And I was telling the devotees, not possible. Because Ram Navami is in the installation of the deities, not possible to have a sannyas ceremony. No. But actually,
he was asking the same question.
No, not possible. And then there was actually initiation, first, second initiation on Purnima, which is today, Purnima Titi.
Ram Shada Prabhu told me to.
Yeah, now Ram Shada, he took initiation, Bhima Prabhu took second initiation. And then I asked Bhima Prabhu also, he took sannyas on this day? I was saying, yeah, I think he took sannyas on this day. But then, actually, Panchatattva, he did some research and he told me that in his diary of Gour Govinda Maharaj, it is mentioned that on Dwadashi Titi, the sannyas ceremony was there. Dwadashi Titi means 3 days before Purnima. And yes, Tripurari Maharaj was there to take sannyas, and book distributor and famous And actually Gour Govinda Maharaj was asked to do the yagya. And so there were 2 dandas there, and they were thinking, why 2 danda? And all the paraphernalia, the cloth was there, and so then Prabhupada spoke about sannyas ceremony and then asked Tripurari Prabhu to come forward, and then gave him sannyas, and then he also asked Gour Govinda Maharaj, Gour Govinda at that time, to come forward, and I gave him sannyas. And we heard that afterwards the senior Prabhupada disciples, they were asking Prabhupada and telling Prabhupada, why you gave him sannyas? He's a new man. He just came 1 year ago. And Prabhupada said, no, you're a new man. He's a Vaishnava since birth. So coming from a Vaishnava family, Gadaigiri, beautiful Gopal Diti is there. So right from childhood he was, as we heard, Kirtaniyas were there from his family, uncle family. And so he was hearing the Maha Mantra, and they were reciting Bhagavatam or other holy scriptures. So right from childhood, and he was seeing the beautiful deity of Gopalju, Radha Gopalju. And in this way, so he grew up as a devotee and chanting the holy names. And then, as we heard, he was a school teacher, very intelligent, and after his father left, so he was asked to take care of, because he was the eldest son, so he had to take care of the other siblings and his mother. And upon the request of his mother, so he also got married, and he had 5 children, I believe. How many? 7 children. But then he felt that he should leave everything in search of a guru, bona fide guru, in search of the absolute truth. Although he was already chanting the holy names and worshipping or offering respects to Bhagavan, but as it is mentioned in the scriptures that we should accept a guru. Even Krishna himself, just to set the example, he accepted Sandipani Muni as his spiritual master. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was no different from Radha Krishna, he also accepted spiritual master and Ishwara Puri, and later on he took sannyas also from Keshav Bharati when he was 24 years old, just before 1 month before his 25th anniversary. So His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaj, and so he was known as Brajabandhu, right? His name was?
Brajabandhu.
Brajabandhu, given by his father. But then when he left home, and he adopted the name Gour Gopal. Gour Gopal, so that is in remembrance ultimately of Mahaprabhu. Was Gopal also, no different from Krishna, but golden complexion. And he was thinking, let me go to Haridwar, Rishikesh, which is a holy place. And he was hoping to find a guru, but he could not. Of course, some saintly persons are there, but mostly Mayavadis. So he was a little bit disappointed. And then, as we heard, he went to Mathura, Keshavji Gaudiya Math, but then he came to our temple, and then he had the good fortune of meeting Prabhupada, and he took shelter of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada immediately saw that is a devotee, is a pure devotee. And then he asked him also if he knows English and Hindi, and so So he was conversant with not only his language but Bengali, Hindi, English, and so Prabhupada asked him to translate some of his books. And of course all the services, as we heard, cooking was there. And then Prabhupada, he wanted him to preach in Orissa, in Bhubaneswar specifically, and he wanted him to build a temple. He wanted a temple to be built there, a Krishna Balaram temple. And so then His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaj fulfilled the desire of Srila Prabhupada, and after long struggle, many years, then he finally opened 1976 or 77 maybe, huh? The opening was there of the temple. Or 1976 the cornerstone laying was done? 77. That was the last project of Srila Prabhupada. Big project. And so he told him to install Krishna Balaram and Gonitai and Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. And he was telling him to have the Ashtadhatu deities of Gonitai and Krishna Balaram, and then he was also telling Gour Govinda Maharaj that Jagannath Baladev, they will come on their own. And of course at one point he was thinking, well, maybe we have to endeavor also to get the deities. And I heard that even deities were made, but then Jagannath Baladev Subhadra came. And then Gour Govinda Maharaj, of course, in his humility was thinking, I didn't have full faith in the words of my spiritual master, but they came on their own. And then later on also, because ultimately in our line, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Radha Krishna, so he has introduced the chanting of the holy names. He has introduced actually Braj Bhakti. He didn't come to give Vaikuntha Bhav, but he came to give Braj Bhakti. And even there, Unat Ujjvala Ras. Unat Ujjvala Ras, that means the Madhurya Bhav, the Gopi Bhav. So that means the worship of Radha Krishna should be there, and Prabhupada's spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he mostly established simple temples with one deity of Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna, which is easy to manage. He only need one pujari to do Mahaprabhu and then Radha Krishna. And actually Gour Govinda Maharaja was fully dedicated to Srila Prabhupada, but at the same time, so he had also, of course, full love for his spiritual master, but full love for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, for the Privachacharyas, Rupa Goswami, Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna. And so by good fortune, I heard some of his lectures, and then all the books which have been presented with his lecture or his talks, and you can see that he was quoting many times Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And of course the Privachacharyas also. So he was completely in line with Prabhupada, the Privachacharyas, Rupanuga Vaishnav. So we are known as Rupanuga Vaishnavas. And Rupa Goswami Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhuktale Sayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Padantikam. So Rupa Goswami was empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to write transcendental literatures, and of course other Goswamis also, but specifically we are known as followers of Rupa Goswami as Sadakas, and then in Siddhavasta following Rupa Manjari, who is very dear to Srimati Radharani. So in his lectures actually, we could see that he was so much empowered when he was speaking. And he was speaking for hours about Mahaprabhu, about Radha and Krishna. So I had the good fortune of personally seeing him, being with him 2 times. One time in New York, I believe 1986 or 87. And so we had heard one sannyas is coming from India, from Bhubaneswar. His name was Gour Govinda Maharaja. First time I had heard about him, and then he was a Sunday feast lecture in the evening in New York, Brooklyn, Skirmahone Street, where Radha Govinda were established. And they were worshipped. Of course, before, and Henry Street they were there, but then they moved to Brooklyn. Beautiful deities of Radha Govinda, established in Jaipur by Srila Prabhupada himself, and then he asked them to go to New York, and they were donated by the Queen of Jaipur, Gayatri Devi. So I was Pujari there, worshipping Radha Govinda, the big deities and small Radha Krishna deities, which are the first deities, small deities in ISKCON. There were 2 sets. I think Govinda Devi was worshipping, had one set, and this Radha Krishna in New York. I was cooking, also making burfi. So, and then of course it was downstairs, I was making the burfi. After dressing the deities in the afternoon, which Prabhupada established according to Nitya Lila, Krishna is being dressed morning and then afternoon and night time. Prabhupada established in New York and Los Angeles and Vrindavan. And then I went down because we didn't have many pujaris, so I had to do a lot of services. And I was making the sweet burfi and put on the loudspeaker, and I heard Maharaj, Gour Govinda Maharaj speaking, and immediately, very special personality. Immediately I was so much attracted by his speaking, very wonderfully. And then I finished the burfi, and then I thought I have to go upstairs and I have to see that devotee. And then I went upstairs in the temple hall and I saw His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaj. And so, by the mercy of the Lord, I could understand that this is a pure devotee. And then I kept him in my heart. And then later on also I met some of his disciples, and like the Gour Maharaj, they're also very enthusiastic, like Madhavananda, and very learned and full of bhakti and joy of Krishna consciousness, and like father, like son, like guru, like disciple, and also speaking wonderfully. So many of the disciples getting the spirit of the spiritual master Gour Govinda Maharaj. And so actually Srila Prabhupada, as the previous acharyas, they came to give pure bhakti, pure devotional service. And of course, many of the other disciples of Prabhupada, they were also preaching very nicely, like Gopa Krishna Maharaj, Jayapataka Maharaj. So many wonderful devotees are there, Prabhupada disciples. But personally, I was so much attracted to His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaj, and I felt he's very special. And actually also his god brothers, they also saw that he's special. And before coming to Vrindavan for the offering, Prabhupada went to Hyderabad for some bundle program preaching. And some disciples were there also, and Gour Govinda, at that time Prabhu was there also. And the devotees were noticing when he was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, with devotion, tears were coming from his eyes. And they thought, we never saw anyone chanting with tears coming from the eyes. So that is a symptom of a pure devotee, is chanting, crying out to Krishna. 3 kinds of crying. One, because we understand we are insignificant, and then you cry, my dear Lord, I am insignificant, please help me. Another time, kind of crying is because of ecstasy, chanting the holy names, and seeing that, and seeing Krishna, because Krishna Nama are not different, and then so much anand is there, and then tears can come. Third kind of crying is when the pure devotee is seeing Krishna, the Krishna disappears, and then he's feeling separation, vipralambha bhav, and then he's crying and crying, and then tears are coming, even more than when the devotee is blissfully crying, because wanting to see Krishna again. And you can see Mahaprabhu was crying so much. Krishna, Krishna, vipralambha bhav. And the 6 Goswamis also. So the pure devotees. Also Prabhupada, we heard many times cried while chanting Radha Madhav or seeing the deities in New York, Radha Govinda. One time he went there also. And so he had come from India and he came, and there was one Mataji there who told me that personally. And when they opened the curtain, Prabhupada looked at the deities and tears were coming out from his eyes. And she was like 1 meter away, and the sari got wet because of the tears. So this is a symptom of a pure Vaishnav, a great devotee. So His Holiness was in that category of pure devotee, Mahabhagavat. And so, and therefore Prabhupada also, one time he went to Bhubaneswar and they made an arrangement in some, for him to stay in one guest house, nice guest house. But he was saying, no, I want to stay with my disciple, Gour Govinda Maharaja. We just had 2 simple huts there. So, because he recognized him as a pure devotee, and they had, of course, wonderful talks, and being empowered by Prabhupada, and eventually he was able to build a beautiful temple. And so we're talking about Radha Krishna, and he also installed later on Radha Gopinath, right? Name Radha Gopinath? Small temple with Radha Krishna deities. And of course his beloved deities were Radha Gopalju from Gadaigiri, maybe 2.5 hours away from Bhubaneswar. And so 1999, big temple was built. It was installed, the deities were installed, big deities of Radha Gopalju. I was fortunate to be there at that time for the installation ceremony. So a great devotee, His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaja, so recognized by the intelligent devotees. The pure devotees can recognize a pure devotee. Not only in our society, but of course, I mean, unfortunately, even sometimes in the society, even in our society, sometimes they cannot recognize another great devotee. So not everyone could recognize Gour Govinda Maharaj, but most devotees, they could appreciate him and love him and recognized his being a pure devotee. But amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Bhubaneswar or Puri or the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada or their disciples, they had actually so much respect for Gour Govinda Maharaj. They respected him as a pure devotee. But not only the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, even other Vaishnavas from other sampradayas, they also recognized him. There was one devotee from the Sri Sampradaya, from Sri Rangam. He came to Bhubaneswar and he also saw the symptoms of a pure devotee in the personality of Gour Govinda Maharaj. And he went to his Guru Maharaj. I think I saw one pure devotee He's a Gaudiya Vaishnav. Please come and you please confirm it. And actually, by the will of the Lord, I had the good fortune to stay at that ashram of that guru who went to see, and I spoke to him, and, I stayed for a few days with him, and he gave me one Nrisingha Shila. And so then, that was 1987, I met him. So he went maybe a little later, but I met him. By good fortune, I stayed in his ashram. And he went around, what was his name? No, that was the disciple, I believe. Lakshman Ramanuja Jir Goswami was his name. So he was well known. He had 5,000 disciples. And he was actually from northern India. But he settled down there. And he was recognized. But, so he then had come to Bhubaneswar, and he also confirmed that Gour Govinda Maharaj is a Mahabhagavat, a pure devotee of the Lord. His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaja ki. Of course, there's so much more to say, but other devotees are there to speak. But one more thing, that the appearance of a pure devotee is divine. His life is divine, and the disappearance is divine. You all heard how, you all know, I'm sure, how he left. Speaking Krishna Katha, speaking about Jagannath, some devotees, they were here in Gurukul, when the Gurukul was here. And some two ladies, actually, they went to ask some questions in regards to Jagannath. And so the wonderful of Jagannath, Mahabhav Prakash, manifestation of the most wonderful love. And here, so Jagannath is actually Dwarkadish, but is remembering his form in Braj, and that becomes so ecstatic. One time in Dwarka, Mahabhav Prakash is there, and then he was supposed to come back to Braj, and all the Brijvasis are waiting. When is he coming back, Krishna? Crying for years in separation. And then finally, and then Bhagavad sent Balaram one time to console all the, first of all he sent Uddhav also to teach him some lesson also, to show who are the greatest devotees, and to tell everyone that the gopis are the greatest devotees. And then he sent Balaram, but he consoled them to a little extent, and he was saying, we'll bring Krishna very soon. And he told Krishna, you should come to Braj, and okay, after some time. And at one point, so everyone was telling him in Dwarka, you have to go now. And then he's saying, okay, but you go first, Balaram. And he said, I cannot go first, because I went before and I told them that Krishna is just not coming. If I go again and say Krishna is just not coming, they will not believe me, and anyhow, maybe you're not coming. Then what is my position? So no. So maybe Subhadra should go. But Subhadra, a lady, how we can send her before? And Krishna said, I cannot go first. And then anyhow, Balaram at the end, he went first, and then Subhadra, and then Dwarkadish Jagannath. And that's why also in Puri, the ratha-yatra is in this way. First Balaram, then Subhadra, and then Jagannath. And he was, long story, we should keep it short. But so Maharaj was describing vividly and seeing Jagannath, seeing Dwarkadish in that Mahabhav Prakash. And when they meet in Braj, Srimati Radharani and Dwarkadish, then again this form is there, Mahabhav Prakash, big eyes, and then eye-to-eye union of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. And then after that, so of course he was also definitely feeling some ecstasy. But then he told them, I cannot speak more. and then you may go. And then he left, and he told one of his disciples to give him the photo of Gopalju, his beloved deity, put on his chest, and after that he left. His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaja ki. So, Srila Prabhupada ki. Sisi Gaunitai ki. Krishna Balaram ki. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki. Sisi Radha Gopalju ki. Radha Gopinath ki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So many thanks to Mukunda Datta Prabhu. Manjari, would you like to come say something? Yeah, sure. I mean, just reflect a little something on what he was saying. One thing that really struck me so much about our Guru Maharaj, I give one example. In 1997, a Prabhupada disciple who happened to be the GBC chairman that year came to Bhubaneswar, and he's an old friend of mine. I was showing him around, and at one point he turned to me and asked me, he said, "So who was Gour Govinda Maharaj initiated by?" I said, "He was initiated by Srila Prabhupada." He said, No. He was initiated before he came to ISKCON by some Gaudiya Mattva. I said, "No. He only ever took initiation from Srila Prabhupada." And it's a very amazing thing. As Mukunda Datta was saying, at that time when you first met him in New York, practically nobody had heard about him. And his sannyas date, we're still trying to figure out exactly. Maybe it's a few days ago, it seems like, from his diary. His birth date, we don't really know. We observe it on the Gaurapaksha Pratipad, the bright first day of the month of Rishikesh, just in between Janmashtami and Radhastami, because he told us that we should use that date. But it was just common in a lot of the villages in India, they didn't record his actual birth date, so we don't know. And there's so many things about him. It's a very, very mysterious personality, a very private person, staying in Bhubaneswar for so long just by himself. So I want to turn to Manjari now. Thank you for coming today. Manjari, you're feeling better today? She was coughing yesterday. Something. I'm very grateful to all the... I don't know your god sister.
Ladini Shakti. Ladini Shakti.
Ladini Shakti. Hare Krishna Mataji. Would you like to speak after Manjari?
I just have to say that
You just come to hear. That's bona fide. We're okay with that. But I'm going to just give a list because I think we're going to have to be a little short with time now. Maybe after Manjari, if Anupam Prabhu, if you'd like to say something. And I was going to also say Anuradha. You can fight it out, whoever goes first. And then maybe Manal and Lhasa, would you like to say a few words too? But I'm going to have to ask everybody to be like 10 minutes like that. Please forgive me. So Manjari, thank you so much for coming today. And we also want, you see all these boxes here. This is Mahaprasad, which we're going to offer to Guru Maharaj in 1:30. And we're going to need some help from devotees to take all this prasadam afterwards. So I hope the devotees don't leave without taking prasadam. Please.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajari Nevishesha Shinivadi Paschacha Deshatari Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Thank you for letting me speak. I'll just speak a little because actually my association with His Holiness Sripad Gour Govinda Maharaj was very, very small. But it is also testimony that something very small can change your life. So I was living in Berkeley, California, and I was going to UC Berkeley, which is university there. And Sripad Gour Govinda Maharaj came as the guest of a devotee, Brahma.
Brahmadas, your godbrother?
No, he's not my godbrother. forget his no, Radhakanta.
Acha, yeah.
Yeah, his name is Radhakanta now.
That would have been 93 or 94, I think.
Probably 94. I'm guessing 94. You were there too? Oh, wow. So we were at the Berkeley Temple and he was speaking. And I have to say I didn't know, I never knew he was coming. I was surprised that there was a speaker. And unlike Mukunda Dutt Prabhu, I didn't recognize his purity. And I was just listening. And because of there was a very bad sound system. And also he had a heavy accent. And I have to say, I couldn't understand everything he was saying. So this is a situation where I didn't know who he was. And I didn't really understand his lecture. But I was there and I sat there and I listened. And, I can only say that he must have taken great pity on me. Because, sometimes something that you think is auspicious is actually a big anartha. I was going to university and I was doing very well. I was at the top of my class. That is an anartha. You have a beautiful wife and a nice family, anartha. The biggest anartha, wealth. It's a terrible thing to have. He understood this. So very soon after meeting, or I can't say meeting, being in his association, I applied for a scholarship where they would give me money to come to India to do some studies. And I didn't really expect that they would, but whoa, so I was surprised. They completely paid my way to come, to go back and to spend some time and to do my research. And so I was able to come here, and that was the summer of 1965. I applied for the scholarship soon after I met him, or I had his associate. Oh no, 95, sorry. No, it was 95.
65. That's all right.
Okay, all right. And so then I was able to be here. When I was here, I realized what a wonderful fortune it is to be in Vrindavan, and how Srila Prabhupada had wanted us all to come to Vrindavan, and why. And I had also the good fortune in that summer to meet Srila Narayan Maharaj. And then the next year, after I graduated, then I moved here in 1996.
Sure.
And but I know that just a moment's association with a pure devotee, whether you recognize him or not, is so powerful that it will change your life. So this is my experience, and I'm so grateful to him that he took pity on me.
I think it was 93 or 94 in Berkeley. We were in the back room with Guru Maharaj, and one person came with long hair, and Guru Maharaj was like, and he says, Maharaj, like this to our Guru Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj says, Adi Keshava? It was former Maharaj, former Adi Keshava. He came to see him in Berkeley that year. Remember. Okay. Thank you very much, Manju. I appreciate it. I want to add another person to the list. Okay, so Anuradha, please forgive me. We have another Ahavini Shakti. It's a male. Would you like to just say a few words, Prabhu? Yeah. Yeah, but don't be too long or we'll beat you. Yeah. Yeah, come. And then Anupam, and then Anuradha, in the middle of Lhasa. Okay. Small gift for you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Nam Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve. Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I feel very honored to be in this august assembly and being drawn here, all of us, by His Holiness Gour Govinda Swami. My great good fortune was to meet His Holiness in New York at Radha-Govinda Mandir. He came many times, I don't know how many times, but many times, and he spoke. And I want to, for those of you who were never present at one of his classes, to know what it was like. I mean, he was so extraordinary. As Manjari was just saying, whether you recognized his status as a Mahabhagavat, or you had no idea, you felt something that was extraordinary that you could not deny. Well, maybe I'm very sort of superficial and materialistic, but the thing that stood out to me, first of all, was that he was so enthusiastic about Krishna. When he spoke, he would always say what he had to say and back it up with scripture. That stood out. And sometimes he would become so enlivened by what he was saying, he would break into song. And his disciples would be there, and the mridanga and the kartals, and Gour Govinda Swami was singing in a way that just touched your heart and made you feel that excitement that he felt. And then he would resume speaking. And then, a little while later, again he would break into song. And it was so exciting. You felt like, this is why I joined the Hare Krishna movement. To feel some enthusiasm about Godhead, about Krishna, about Vrindavan. He always did that. But there was something else that he did that I wanted to share. It's very important. I would always, I took some responsibility at the New York Temple. Mukunda Datta remembers. I was temple commander there for a while. I was vice president there for a while. I was very busy. I was younger. And I would always sit in the front of the class. So I was sitting in the front of the class. Now, I see you're anticipating what I'm about to say. Because Gour Govinda Swami, he would look at somebody and he'd say, Banu, or he'd say, Aladini. He'd say, what is that verb? I'm sorry. The microphone, I'll speak a little more softly. No need to shout, but he would say, what is that verse? And if you didn't know, he'd say, what is wrong with you? What are you doing? You don't know? Soon I was sitting in the back. I gave up my front seat. But he was pushing. He was pushing that you should know the Shastra. What are you doing? How are you spending your time? And you could see how he was spending his time, because I remember how irritated
I won't say the name of, but the temple president became very irritated with Maharaj. Why? Because he would sit down and he would begin to speak, and we would become so enthused. And then the temple president would be like, it should be over now. Okay, it should be over now. Maharaj was just beginning to invoke the deities and to invoke the spiritual masters that inspired him. And he hadn't started to, oh my goodness, I don't know. I'm sorry. He had so much to share. He had so much to give. So I think you've asked me to be short, and I'll try to be brief. But because I was doing a lot in the temple, and because the environment that I moved into required us to do what the temple needed to have done, so I ended up with keys to every room in the temple on my dhoti, and familiarity with the temple rhythms and needs. And I thought, oh, there is a pure devotee who's staying in Srila Prabhupada's quarters on the mezzanine floor, and I could visit him. A pure devotee. I mean, this is a lifetime opportunity. So I don't remember what prior arrangements I made, but I came to see Maharaj. He was alone. I came alone. And I came into his presence, and I really don't remember in detail. I'm sure I offered my obeisances, and I sat, and he was sitting, and he sat. And I'm a person, I don't rehearse a lot. I thought that I would just ask this, say that, do this, do that. I was silenced by the gravity of his joyful presence. He was joyful. He was not threatening. He was not intimidating, but I was silenced because I began to feel that I'm just a busy person doing this and doing that and doing the other, but I don't even know what to ask him. I don't know what to say. And I think that was when I began to understand this. Anavitam anukulyena, Anyabhilasitam shunyam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. I began to understand I've been cultivating obedience, that's a good thing, and enthusiasm to do service and taking initiative and making sacrifices. This is all good, but I haven't been going deep into Krishna Katha and the Rasik elements of this Krishna consciousness movement. If you haven't read the Embankment of Separation, you've read the Embankment of Separation? If you haven't read, you should please read this book, because in the book, His Holiness begins to give us an insight into the evolution of Krishna's bhav, Krishna's enthusiasm to interact with his devotees and to interact with his energies. And it's like, wow, oh my, so tasty. What can I say? So tasty. So as Madhavananda Prabhu said to me the other day, I was telling him about sitting in Gour Govinda Swami's presence for maybe 10, 15 minutes and not saying anything, and he not saying anything to me, and then offering obeisances and leaving and thinking, well, what was that about? And Madhavananda Prabhu, he said, sometimes silence is the most articulate form of communication. And I think Maharaj encouraged me to go into the Rasik, to go into the Bhav. And there is much more I could say, because I was always totally inspired by him. And I'm very grateful that I was in his presence and that I know persons who have imbibed his spirit. Thank you very much. Gour Govinda Swami ki jai.
Okay, I'm going to get a little militant. Please forgive me. We've got 3 more speakers, and we've got 30 minutes. So I think from my mathematics, that means 10 minutes each, and I'm going to set an alarm on my phone. So, Anupam Prabhu, thank you so much for coming. Then, Anuradha Madhavas. I'm setting an alarm. Is that okay?
Yeah, I hope so. So first of all, I would like to make the compliments to the management of the Krishna Balaram Mandir, devotees and congregation, for a wonderful 50 years program here in Vrindavan. Many Prabhupada disciples came, and some of them, one I remember, mentioned that he was in Mayapur, he was in Hyderabad, and he sat on the same train and he saw Gurudev on that train and then taking sannyas there. So that gave some remembrances about this program today. And as we heard during the festival, the conditions to develop this Krishna Balaram Mandir were very not, counterproductive, because India was a socialist country. Lots of materials you had to get license for, was license Raj. And even paper, you need to have permission to get some paper and print the books. So from all of India, the poorest state was Orissa. For many years, Orissa has been the poorest state in India, and that is where our Gurudev came from. Like today is the appearance or disappearance of Shyamananda Prabhu. He was sent to Orissa because after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, preaching was not going on. So of course Gaudiya Math was there in Kathak, in Puri, but not so much preaching was going on. So Prabhupada, he needed somebody to do the preaching in Orissa again. So when he first met our Srila Gurudev with Srila Prabhupada here, Prabhupada told him, I will give you sannyas, and also he wanted him to go to Orissa to preach, because ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada had sent many preachers to many parts of the country, but Orissa was still a blank part. So Srila Prabhupada, you can read in his letters before coming to USA, he had written so many letters to government people on all levels, local, state, central, to the president, all the presidents, and he got little response. So Prabhupada knew when he went to America, and Prabhupada mentioned that there were only like a few months or a few weeks in ISKCON, and Prabhupada told him to go to this new place and develop a center there, and he did like that. So Prabhupada was also very critical about the Indian people, that they didn't accept his preaching before. Even about his own disciples, he said they are not well educated, they are useless. But our Srila Gurudev, like Mahananda Prabhu mentioned, thank you, Prabhu, for messing up the mic here. Anyhow, Prabhu mentioned that the diary of Srila Gurudev. So the diary is written in Odia language. And he wrote a diary for many years before he came to ISKCON in Krishna, when he was initiated in 1974. By the way, Gurudev was initiated in 1974 in Mayapur. Then he got second initiation in Mumbai and sannyas in
Within 6 months, all three.
Within 6 months, all three. So it is also quite special. You know, the three most important. Oh, Hare Krishna. I think it is a little too soft, or okay. So Mayapur, Mumbai, Vrindavan, and about the education. So Prabhupada wrote, Srila Gurudev wrote in Odia language, but he was already well conversant in English. Like Srila Prabhupada, you had to, really tune in to understand him. With our Gurudev, as Prabhu mentioned and Mataji mentioned, at first you would have hard time to understand him. But when you tune in these personalities, you can better understand them. So my idea was to read from one of his first letter to Srila Prabhupada, but you can find it, just Google it, letter from Gour Govinda Swami to Srila Prabhupada, and it is in such high English. I was amazed when I read it first, and it was very open. He opened his heart to Srila Prabhupada, like he does when he writes in his diary. And so for us, we have one volume of the biography of Gour Govinda Swami by Nimai Pandit Prabhu. Madhananda Prabhu wrote the life story, condensed. Anuradha wrote also about it. And his personal diary in Odia, that is like a storehouse of so many things. I think you have a scan of all it.
We've already scanned it.
You already scanned it.
It's already, Maharaj wants me to work with me on that.
Yeah.
Some excerpts from it, not everything.
No. So it is work in progress to get it translated. His Odia personal diary. But for us, it was remarkable reading the few letters exchanged between our Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada, how assertive he was. Assertive in expressing what he wants, expressing what he wants to know from Prabhupada, but is also expressing what he is experiencing within the movement. Because his first assignment, one of the first assignments, was to translate the Path to Perfection in Hindi. And he did it quite well. Srila Prabhupada was happy with that. But then he was sent to Yasomati Nandan under his direction to translate more books in Hindi. And Yasomati Nandan was not so happy with his Hindi. So our Gurudev felt less inspired, and he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. Please, Srila Prabhupada, in the first meeting you said you would send me to Orissa. I was preached there, and also about sannyas. So he was really pushing for what was necessary to do. So when he got sannyas and he went to Orissa, nothing was there, jungle, nothing. So he wrote letters to Prabhupada, please give me some funds, send me some men, and this went on and on. So at one point, I read one letter that one godbrother of Prabhupada took pity on him and said, better you select one person yourself, come to Mayapur, because you don't know who you will get, who will they send you, So, you might not end up with some, like I say in Australia, bongi bongi or whatever. So he went there and he selected somebody. So, but in the end, Srila Gurudev made the arrangements with Srila Prabhupada that he would get money from the BBT, plus 50% he had to pay back to the BBT, and 50% he could keep for temple construction and guest house. So after Prabhupada left, we had, of course, another system, whatever it is, and Srila Gurudev was pushing forward. We had this arrangement with Prabhupada, you have to honor that and continue that. So I don't know exactly in the records what happened there, but when he was GBC himself from 1987, he pushed it also in the GBC meetings. So there were at one point then one resolution that the BBT, they should cooperate, and all the temples worldwide should cooperate to support the project in ISKCON Bhubaneswar in the last funded project of Srila Gurudev of Prabhupada. So because of the 10 minutes, I want to keep it short. How did I do? 1 minute left. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Anupam Prabhu. So now I want to ask Anuradha, please come. Bring your books, Anuradha. Yeah, bring your books. Okay. She did not pay me to do this, but give me one. Okay. This is your chance today.
Yeah.
She has a few copies Anybody would like to get a copy? It's called Crow Swan. This is a beautiful book by Anuradha.
By Gurudev. With Madhavananda's help. Without you, I couldn't have done it.
About her experiences with Guru Maharaj, and she includes many different lectures and kathas, things from Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Anuradha. I'm going to give you
Thank you, Madhavananda
10 minutes starting now.
Yeah, okay. Hare Krishna. Om Aganati Mirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshod Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all the Orisan devotees who came up here to Vrindavan to perform this amazing festival. Thank you so very much.
It was 3 days on the train, 3 full days.
3 days on the train?
Yeah, and no AC.
Oh, Krishna. Anyway, my humble obeisances to all of you. And, doing a 3-day non-stop kirtan in a very difficult situation and tolerating so much tapasya. And now sitting here and hearing all this beautiful glorification of Gurudev, and most of you probably don't even know English. So I beg excuse for not being able to speak in Odia. And I also want to thank all the Prabhupada disciples that are still here, that were here before. And so many things have already been said, have been touched upon. And we can see there's a thread in Gour Govinda Maharaj, my dear spiritual master, that he would say, I only teach about one thing, and that is Krishna Prema. And he opened our eyes to this tattva of Krishna Prema. I remember Gurudev telling us about the sulkiness of Srila Prabhupada. Gurudev had asked Prabhupada, you've been all over the world preaching this beautiful Krishna consciousness movement, but you didn't come to Orissa. And Gurudev explained to us how Prabhupada was sulky because they didn't allow his disciples, his Western disciples, to enter the Jagannath Puri temple. So then one time walking down the stairs after the class, I asked Gurudev about this sulkiness, and he explained it like that. And I said to Gurudev, but Prabhupada, he could have gone inside the temple. Why didn't he go? And then Gurudev, he had this mannerism. He would come up quite close and he would say, dull head, Anuradha. All of his disciples are Prabhupada's expansions. So if my disciples are not allowed to go, why shall I go there? So all glories to Srila Prabhupada's disciples all over the world for continuing on with this amazing Krishna consciousness movement. In regards to Mukunda Datta, Prabhu is speaking about the Jagannath deities, how they suddenly came like that. I remember Gurudev also saying that Srila Prabhupada had promised, he'd given him very, very direct instructions about which deities to install, how they were going to be made, how they had to be made there in Orissa. And he said, and I will personally come to the opening of the temple. And of course we know 1977 Srila Prabhupada left this world. And so the opening only happened, I think, January 1990. And Gurudev, very pleased, very joyfully would say, and at that time, the Murti of Srila Prabhupada arrived in Bhubaneswar. And I could understand Srila Prabhupada is personally present. Actually, he would always say, don't say Nitya Leela Pravishta like that. My Gurudev has not left. He's not gone. Don't say he's dead and gone. He really hated that phrase, actually. He said, my Gurudev is present daily. He's pulling my ear and slapping my face. So I wanted to say that, and so many things have already been touched upon, so it's no need for me to also say. I just have to be very honest and confide.
We are celebrating the 50th anniversary of my Gurudev taking sannyas. Actually, the whole thing is very, very mysterious to me. I don't know what is the meaning of renunciation. That confirms that. I don't understand sannyas. All these things are very mysterious because by the time we came to Gurudev in Bhubaneswar in 1991, I had 6 children in tow. I was trying to grapple with the idea what it means to have a Vedic Grihastha ashram. That was a complete mystery, really, because I come from such a fallen background where you get married and you enjoy. You know, that is what married life is for. So I was trying to understand what it means to be a Grihastha. And actually, in that regard, our Gurudev, he gave a very famous lecture, and it's entitled, "A True Grihastha is Greater Than a Sannyas." So I was trying to come in, to understand what it means to be a true Grihastha. And Gurudev, he kindly made himself available to us, accessible to us, but really, I have to be honest, he's the most mysterious personality. And I can only try and fathom something from his teaching, from the Association of Devotees. I had the opportunity to, one time, the devotees took an outing to Jagannathpur, which was the place of my Gurudev's residence when he was a Grihastha. And it was an unbelievable experience for me to come into the mud hut. Nice, big, spacious mud hut, very low door, with the mud walls, straw roofs hanging low, and like that. And we met his former wife. She still lived at that time in this building. And I was just completely astonished, coming from the Western background, trying to understand so many things all at the same time. And seeing my Gurudev on one side, like somebody said, his gravity, as a woman especially, it was very difficult. You felt very shy and nervous to ask questions. But walking into this situation where he had lived as a Grihastha, and it was inconceivable to me. And then his former wife at that time when we went, she was crying and crying. So all these years I've tried to understand what is the meaning of this renunciation. Because we know so many yogis and Mayavadis, they also reject material life, they go off into the mountains. But as the theme of today's speaking was very much this crying for Krishna, this is actually real renunciation. If you can come truly to this point, and Gurudev would say, yes, I've opened this crying school, cry for Krishna. And what do we have to cry? Oh, Krishna, I'm yours. I'm your das. With an open and sincere heart, I'm yours. So our Gurudev, he got married because on the order of his mother, but actually in his heart he was only crying to take up the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he was experiencing a very high bhava. He was teaching us so much about this vipralamba bhava, this feeling of separation. And there's this famous verse, of course, and then I'll conclude, by Madhavendra Puri Maharaj. He says, Ayi dina dayadra natahe, that famous verse that he spoke. And in the purport to this verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada says, when Sri Krishna left Vrindavan and accepted the kingdom of Mathura, Srimati Radharani, out of ecstatic feelings of separation, expressed how Krishna can be loved in separation. And then he goes, worship in separation is considered by the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya to be the topmost level of devotional service. So his sannyas was nothing mundane. His sannyas was a deep, heartfelt crying of separation for the Lord. Hare Krishna.
That's great.
Is that good?
That's
You're happy? Oh, that's good. Good on you. All right. Thank you for showing this.
Did I give you a magazine?
No, I didn't get one.
Free magazine.
Yeah, I want one. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, okay.
Thank you very much, Anuradha. Manolasa, do you want to come up? I'm not making comments because I'm being quick, and I just got a message from a little bird up there that Prandacharya Prabhu would also like to speak. Manolasa, you come. No, you speak first. We said you first. Prandacharya can finish, but we should try to be quick.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद् गौर गोविंद स्वामी नामे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामे जय श्री. So today we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of sannyas by Srila Gurudev, and Srila Gurudev, just like other sannyasis, took sannyas to preach to devotees, to spread Mahaprabhu's glorification. But what he always would say, that he would preach to the preacher. He would like to preach to the preachers. But as we have seen throughout his life, when he started to preach at ISKCON, that and like that Prabhu had mentioned, and that other Prabhu, that he was very much restricted, and it was very difficult for him sometimes to reach the devotees to whom he really wanted to preach, to inspire. And I was witness of that, just like my husband also, that I met Srila Gurudev in 1992 in February in Mayapur, while the GBC meetings were going on, and Gurudev was also part of the GBC meetings. And one day in class, Gurudev was allowed to give lecture, and I could see that the devotees really appreciated his class. For me, it was the first time that I met Gurudev, and just like the other devotees have mentioned, in the beginning, it was also very hard for me to understand his dialect, or like his pronunciation, and also because of the sound system. But later, I think because I really wanted to know what he was saying, it felt like something opened up and I could understand Gurudev better. So from the first day that I met Gurudev in Mayapur, I noticed there is some tension in the room, in the Radha Madhav hall. And later, for me at that time, it was not clear what was happening. Later on, slowly we began to hear that there was some objection about what he was saying, and about certain topics he was speaking, about Jiva Tattva, Gaura Tattva, about the peacock feather, and like that, Guru Tattva, and that he was quite misunderstood. So although Gurudev really wanted to go and preach to the preachers, we could see that he was not always allowed to do that. And we have witnessed ourselves that we invited him to Holland to come and preach to the preachers in the temples, in the ISKCON temples, but that was not allowed. We were called by the GBC and told that your Guru Maharaj is not allowed to come and preach, not even come to Holland, not even come to our house. But of course, we didn't allow that to happen. We organized private programs, and you could see that Gurudev really touched the heart of so many devotees. And to emphasize also that Gurudev really wanted to preach to the preachers, and that in ISKCON, that he really wanted devotees to stay in ISKCON, that he gave the instruction to our god brother and our god sister to build a house for him in Vrindavan. And he told them that when you build that house, as soon as possible, I will come to Vrindavan, and I want to preach to the preachers in ISKCON. I want to preach to the preachers. So that in that way you can see that he really wanted to give the higher teachings, to make clear that Prabhupada had given everything in his books, and he wanted to explain that to all the devotees. He could notice that devotees were disappointed, maybe not so inspired anymore, and they were going hither and thither. And Srila Gurudev took it really to his heart to preach to these devotees and make them understand that they should be, that everything is there in Srila Prabhupada's book. And another thing is that Srila Gurudev left in February 96, and a god brother of ours has told us that on the day, we were there also in Mayapur, and we could see that Gurudev was not happy at all, and that he wanted to preach, but he didn't felt comfortable to do this, and that when he that actually Gurudev, in his last moments, like a few days that he was there in Mayapur, that he was kind of sad, and that he couldn't really do the preaching he wanted. So, in one sense, taking sannyas and preach, he was successful by reaching quite a few devotees. But in the other sense, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, in my feeling, that what he really wanted to do is go to the temples, the ISKCON temples, go to the devotees and inspire them and really encourage them. That in that sense, he was not, he couldn't do that. And I know that we don't speak so much about it, but today I heard some other devotees mentioning these things, that Gurudev was restricted, also that they have also seen sometimes that he was not understood in the right way. But I'm happy to see that, like with God brothers and sisters together, we managed to get Gurudev's teachings out in book form, in tape form, on so many videos, and that still today Gurudev's teachings is touching so many people's hearts, devotees' hearts, and they feel inspired. And I can only think and wonder, like, if Gurudev could have reached more people physically and give that Sabda Brahmana, that merciful glance, and his association to all of the devotees of ISKCON as he wished, then his sannyaship and his preachingship would have been more successful. So this is mine. I don't have more than 10. Okay.
Vrindavana Prabhu, would you like to come and say something?
Vrindavana? Did you say Vrindavana?
Vrindavana.
Huh?
Vrindavana.
I thought it said Vrindavana.
What did you say?
Vrindavana.
Vrindavana Prabhu was also in Mayapur the day our Guru Maharaj left, and he's been serving so much, so faithfully, so long, and he's our friend in Jagannath Puri.
Stand. Let us stand. Okay.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapristhaya Bhutale Srimate Gour Govinda Swami Niti Namine. My pen. Water. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatayine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Maharaj ki jai,
Sorry for my English. We already here. Last today, we have already 1 month program going on in Odisha. We just came from huge, nice, best program from Bhubaneswar 1 week. Then before we have Gadegiri and Jagannathpur, my Gurudev birthplace, and Jantaribal, Dhenkanal, his best ashram there. We hear so many huge, nice glorification from so many senior devotees. Last 30 years, Guru Maharaj, first 29 years already. I never even met them. Our Haladhar Maharaj, he brought them. Such old people. Now they are God brother, God sister. I mean, they explain so nice things. I not got chance even to speak because we invited them in Bhubaneswar. So I just told Madhavananda Prabhu, I never spoke in Vrindavan about my Guru Maharaj. So please forgive me. We will finish now. Devotees are hungry. Now we are offering. Please forgive me. Prabhu saying 5 minutes. I always saying one word. Na bhuto, na bhavishyati. Never happen, never will happen how my Guru Maharaj left this planet. That 1996 February 9th of February. I just talking with this Mataji Chandrika. She's in Hawaii now. Our Srila Prabhupada Maharaj disciple. Also yesterday Mataji Baijanti Mala. She also wrote. She in Australia now. So, and our Bhaktarupa Prabhu always now like Kshetra Sannyas staying in Jagannath Puri with Madhavananda Prabhu. So these three devotees came that day on 7 p.m. I remember clearly Srila Lokanath Maharaj singing leading the Arati in Radha Madhav temple Mayapur, and Harikatha going just up. They ask, Maharaj, we have 2 questions. Can we ask? Then Guru Maharaj told, first you ask your first question. When I finish, you can ask second question. So they ask about Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continue 18 years in Jagannath Puri Dham? So many holy places here. Then Guru Maharaj explained that Rasa Tattva. We saying in Odia, Hastara Mudrika Konkana Haila. Radharani, his finger ring, he wearing as ankle bell. Such ankle bracelet, sorry. Oh, ankle is down. Bracelet. She wearing her finger ring as bracelet. Skeleton. Feeling separation of Krishna. I remember all this word. Then my Guru Maharaj explaining, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu singing front of Lord Jagannath that Chaitanya Charitamrita Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami wrote. And my Guru Maharaj making the action. Kotha gele pai bimo murali badana keho more dekhaibo Sri Nanda Nandana. He playing the murali. He will leave in couple minutes. He playing the murali. Koti Chandra Sushitala, his face, his body fully shining. I never heard this face, this type of body, I never saw in my life. Of course, in Nityananda Trayodasi, my Gurudev fully ecstasy, glorifying Lord Nityananda Prabhu. But that day, that night, especially when he going to Golok Vrindavan, he is fully different. Fully different. My English was very, I cannot understand English, but such moment, that time, I feel like I am not in that body, that atmosphere in that room. And Guru Maharaj continuing about Braj Viraha of Krishna. And that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to repay back to Srimati Radharani. He crying and crying in Gambhira, that small room, continue 18 years. Then we cannot go all this. Then Guru Maharaj stop. You understand why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stay in Jagannath Puri? To realize this mellow, to give up Radharani's debt. So what is your next question? And they told, thank you Maharaj so much, we got all our answer. Guru Maharaj told, excuse me, you can leave now. Then they smiled, they was talking, they left. I closed the door. We was 5 devotees was there. Atmaram Prabhu, Somian Prabhu, myself, we 3 Odisha devotees, and Rasikananda Prabhu, Leelavatar Prabhu. Then Guru Maharaj just took out his cloth. Ashta Sattvic Bhav in his body. He's sweating, the fan going full speed, 5 full speed, but he's fully sweating. And he's burning, his face fully shining. He stand up and take out his cloth himself. Atmaram Prabhu tried to hold to help, but it was his hand, he took out his cloth, just fold and put on his bed. Then he sit down as Chakasan we sitting. Then he told, hey Bila, naam karo, naam karo. We not understand. Guru Maharaj, everything going on, class going on, just normal. How, immediately, hey Bila, naam karo, naam karo. Of course, naam karo. He telling Odia, naam karo.
Chant the holy names.
Chant. So then, Leelavatar Prabhu, Rasikananda Prabhu, they were chanting, they have bead bag. They were chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I asking Gurudev, what happened? Gurudev, you okay? Atman Prabhu asking, Gurudev, you okay? He not telling us anything. Then he just laid down, just 5-6 seconds only, he laid down. We asking Gurudev, what happened? Immediately, again he sit up. That time I fully surprised. Guru Maharaj, we know his body bit fat, he have stomach, always we holding him. How possible? He just sit down. No one touch him. He's just, that time fully he's not in that body. Then he calling out, Radha Gopal, Radha Gopal. That's my memory. That time I asking Anupam Prabhu, he saying, no, after I holding that photo, not that moment. I don't know, somebody holding Radha Gopalji photo. His beloved deity, from childhood he worshipping them, now in our Godaigiri. So he saw that picture, Radha Gopal, and please listen just one word. That's my meditation all my life. Guru Maharaj lives. Guru Maharaj talking with Radha Gopalji. I just standing just one hand distance. I can see Guru Maharaj lips moving, talking with Gopalji. I can see Guru Maharaj talking. I was new devotee. I'm not that qualified or educated like my god brothers Somyan Prabhu, Atmanam Prabhu. I just standing looking what Guru Maharaj talking to Gopalji. Our program just finished. Our Haladhar Maharaj reading every day his diary, daily diary. Hey Gopal, you know everything. You know today your Das, your servant, what he did. I met with this person. He gave me little donation. I gave to our Patita Pavan Prabhu to buy some cement packet. Like every day he writing, Gopalji, you know everything. You know what your Das doing. So his beloved deity Gopal, he talking with him on his last moment. Gopal, my seva. I finish my seva. Please take me. So I am not qualified. I looking my Guru Maharaj talking with Gopal. Then he just closed his eyes. He let down. Slowly let down. He not fell. He slowly let down. And that moment he gone. He gone to Radha Gopalji on that photo, that picture. And he let down. You can just think, I run to find somebody. Why my Gurudev happening this situation? Our Bhaktarupa Prabhu, Chandrika Mataji, Baijanti Mala Mataji, the Cons building na? In Mayapur, they just two stair, they were walking. I hold Bhaktarupa Prabhu, my Guru Maharaj not talking. He saying, what happened? We just came back. Tell him, no, please go. He not talking anymore. That's why I always say, na bhuto na bhavishyati. Never happened. I never heard. First time in my life I saw how pure Vaishnava going to Vrindavan. So please forgive me. I begging you, please bless me. All my life I can meditate that moment. How my Gurudev going to Gopal. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki Jai.
Thank you. Vrindavana, can I give you a magazine? I'd just like to add a little comment. Bhaktarupa Prabhu, at that time everybody panicked in the room, and he went to find a doctor, and he ran into a very qualified doctor who was a friend of ours. His name's Damodar Swarup Prabhu. He's a disciple of one of Prabhupada's godbrothers. Both his parents are initiated by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. He was Ayurvedic PhD in a family of Ayurvedic doctors that went way back. And he has a gold medal from the World Health Organization for successfully treating AIDS victims. He's a very good Ayurvedic doctor. And Damodar, I spoke to him later about, he was also my doctor for some years. And he told me that when he first went into the room, he took our Guru Maharaj's pulse. He said that he was still present. And a few minutes later, he took it again and he was gone. And he said that he looked at his body, and Damodar Prabhu had seen many persons leave their bodies. He said, I've never seen anything like this. He said, there was no reason why he left his body. By his pulse, everything was fine. He said, but I could see on his body, as Purandar was saying, all the different symptoms of Astasatvikara Bhav. And there's Dasa, there's 10 different symptoms of Sudura Prabhas. Sudura Prabhas is the most intense type of separation. And the last of those 10 different symptoms, he said, is Mrityu, or death. He said he just became ecstatic and he just left. I've never seen anything like it. So thank you very much. What's happening now? You're going to make an offering? Will you kirtan now? Speak loud, Prabhu. Will you kirtan now? So I should say something more. All right, so they're asking me to say something more. What do you say after all these amazing speakers? Huh? I'll read something, and actually I don't really like reading so much, but I'd rather just kind of paraphrase it. It's some things that I wrote about Guru Maharaj's sannyas. And they're going to make a boga offering, and then we'll have kirtan, I think. Pushpanjali. We'll have Pushpanjali and kirtan, and then we'll have prasadam. So please, everyone, say? Pushpanjali and then Artik. So, we spoke to the headmaster in Kujanga, where a Guru Maharaj was teaching, and he gave a letter to that headmaster, which he showed to us. We make a copy of. And in that letter, our Guru Maharaj had told him, this was in 1974, he said that I'm going to go on ratha-yatra and I'll be gone for some time. And his family didn't know anything about that. No one else knew anything about that. He went home, and in the middle of the night, he got up and he took 2 gamshas, his Bhagavad Gita, his diary, and a pen, and he left home. And he first went to the Kukuria Mutt, and he decided that he would leave home. There was one student he had named Subhas, who later took initiation from him, became Swayambhu Maharaj. He left this world a few years ago. Several of Guru Maharaj's students took initiation from him. I saw Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu's here. This is Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is one of our senior god brothers. He was a student of our Guru Maharaj when he was teaching in school. And we've heard from those students that he was a very different kind of teacher. He used to get in trouble with the headmaster because the headmaster would come in and spy on his class, and he would ask him, he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Are you teaching English, teaching Sanskrit, or are you teaching Bhagavad Gita?" Because whenever any chance he got, he would always speak to them about Krishna. And he, every morning with his family, he'd wake the family up early, 3 o'clock in the morning. They would have Tulsi Artik, they would chant japa, do some kirtan, he would read some Bhagavad Gita to them on a daily basis. So, in spite of that, he was feeling very unhappy. And as we were reading a little bit from his diaries, he was calling out to Gopal in a very interesting way, not just that I want to renounce family life. I saw one letter from Srila Prabhupada where he wrote to one of his disciples, and he said that, "I don't think it would be a very good idea for you to take sannyas while your wife is pregnant. People won't appreciate that." So this kind of thing was going on. And sometimes they complained to Srila Prabhupada, but my wife, I heard from someone recently that this devotee had complained to Srila Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, I want to take sannyas." Prabhupada said, "Why?" And he said, "Because my wife, she's always complaining, she's always criticizing me." And then Prabhupada told him, "Your wife is more intelligent than you, so you should stay a married man." Very good. So it wasn't like that. He wasn't leaving home because he was bitter or disgusted, but he was very, very attracted to the feelings of renunciation exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this Prema Bhikkhari, this story of the beggar of Prem, which we printed in the book Embankment of Separation in chapter 2, was a Leela Kirtan song that was very popular. in Gadagiri. And he grew up with that song. It's a story about how Srimati Radharani became Manmohini. She became very sulky and angry because Krishna was supposed to meet her in the Kunj, but instead Krishna went to see her cousin sister Chandravali. And when finally Krishna then they sent Lalita looking for Krishna, and Krishna realized, oh, I'm in trouble, so he came running, and he had on his face some lipstick, makeup, and Radharani became very angry, and she told him, what are you doing? You don't even have the decency to take bath before you come and see me, have all the marks of being with another woman. And she told him, get out. And she wouldn't allow Krishna entrance into the Kunj. And so then Krishna went to Brinda Devi, who told him the only thing you can do to satisfy Radharani's man, her sulkiness, is you have to become a sannyasi beggar. And that's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's a beautiful song that Brinda Devi taught to Krishna where he's begging for the prema of Srimati Radharani. And our Guru Maharaj grew up with that kirtan, grew up thinking about that. For him, that was sannyas. I want this kind of prema. And so he left home like that. And when some of the students found out that he'd left home, they followed him to the Kukudiya Mutt. And they were trying to convince him, the students and teachers, you have to go home. And at that time, our Guru Maharaj, he turned to Subal, his student, who later became Swayambhu Maharaj, and he told him, you should sing this Manabodha Chotish. Manabodha Chotish was a song by Bhakti Charan Das. It's a song they use in school for the children to learn the alphabet, because each line begins, it's ka ka ga ga na cha cha ja ja. Each line begins with a different letter of the alphabet. And he started singing this song. I'll sing a few lines of it. Kaha manare mobola kara kalashri mukhabare deki ba chalare keti dina kumana banduchu anta kijinibu tora chutile gatare. I say to you, O mind, obey my order. Let's go and see the beautiful black-faced one, Jagannath. How long will you remain bound in material life? At the end of your life, what will you take with you? Piece by piece, your ribs will be distributed amongst the dogs and jackals. O mind, you're now sleeping comfortably in a nice mattress, but after death, your body will give off a terrible smell. And he goes on speaking the song is very full of renunciation. And when he was listening to that song being sung by Swayambhu Maharaj, Guru Maharaj was very, very intent. And when he came to the last line, the translation, and only after the recommended period of purification will your relatives be considered free from contamination, suddenly he fainted. Guru Maharaj fainted and fell back unconscious. And when the students and teachers saw that, they were very shocked, and they realized, oh, this is a different kind. It's not just that he's angry with his wife. He's not just sulky, but it's something much, much deeper. And he taught us like that. He taught us that Vanashram is a good thing, but we want to follow Daivi Vanashram, divine Vanashram, not Asura, as he called it, Asura Vanashram, part of which is karma, sannyas. Just to take sannyas because you discussed it with your family life or because you've reached the age of 50. But for Gaudiya Vaishnava, they've given everything already. And this is what he taught to us. And I want to thank everybody very much for coming today. And I want to thank Panchatattva Prabhu and the others for organizing this wonderful program and wonderful feast. Please, everybody, stay for that. Shri Panchatattva Prabhu Ke. And so we're going to have Pushpanjali now. Kundadatta, do you want to do the prayers? Okay. You know what I do? I don't know how you do. I'm sure you're an expert with